こんにちはみんな。今日は WEEB 文化について話したいと思います。それで WEEB たちは
Shaman, what the hell are you doing in there?
Oh,
Bro, is this that weeb again?
so today we're talking about weebs.
So who are you cosplaying?
Yakuya Togami. He is mostly the rich guy who's pretty much a douchebag to everyone during the game, and actually is the not main antagonist, but a side antagonist. He usually would ruin the trials.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about that? I don't give a shit.
Weebs are an infestation. They're the type of people who, rather than grunting during manual labor or physical exercise, in both of which they hardly ever partake, they instead make link sounds.
Hey, isn't that Zelda?
What begins with a child's innocent wonder turns into pitiful, deplorable degeneration.
It's really long.
What begins with quoting memes becomes dramatically reciting anime lines with sincere intensity. What begins with watching cartoons in your mom's house becomes eyes glued to that same screen for all 1,000 episodes of each of your favorite shows, not even moving to piss. And what begins with a nostalgia for Pokemon becomes humping a God of War body pillow. Weeb culture. What exactly is this phenomenon? And what implications does it hold for society as a whole? The term Japanophile started in the late 18th to early 19th century, with Japanese floral art being traded to foreign countries in Europe, starting with literalists such as H.G. Wells or Beatrice Webb, who started praising the country.
Bro, what are you going on about?
Okay, I'll cut to the chase. When talking about weeb culture, we're actually using a term first coined on 4chan. Originally weeaboo, it started as a way to insult other users who were obsessed with Japanese culture. Oh, the irony of 4chan users thinking they can look down on anybody else. It actually came from 4chan moderators taking a nonsense word created in this comic, banning the word Wapanese as hate speech for obvious reasons. If you can put two and two together, you know how that word was made. Although this began in the early 2000s, the term wouldn't really catch on until 2010, in the melting pot of genius ideas and sophisticated discussion, Twitter. Oh sorry, X. By the late 2000s, Japanese pop culture disseminated across the West in the form of video games, like Final Fantasy, and anime like Dragon Ball, where every guy says Dragon Ball was their first anime experience when their true calling was watching fucking fruit baskets when their friends weren't watching. For me, my first experience with anime was watching Pokemon, Naruto, and Cartoon Network and Jetix. I didn't even know these shows were called anime or what anime even was. They were just cartoons I watched as a kid alongside other American and British cartoon series I loved. If you think about it, Japanese culture is everywhere around us, with movies, video games, food, music, anime, you name it. Oh, the basic white girl who gets sushi every time she goes out? She's a weeb! Obviously, just because you like anime doesn't make you a weeb, and people hate being called that word, so naturally a new word was born. Otaku. This basically means someone who is obsessed with Japanese culture, but more on the anime or manga side, rather than weebs, who are more people who have the compulsive desire to do all things Japanese, and live in the country, and have fucking surgery to slant your eyes, and weird ass shit like that. So that's why nowadays, whenever you hear anyone call these weebs a weeb, the most common thing they say is, actually, I class myself as an otaku. Get it right? Yeah, that's not any better, buddy. To ask the question, what is a weeb, is simply to ask, when does a fascination become a sickness? Because most of the time, the criticisms people have of weebs aren't always what they like, but how much they like those things. From the people who wear Haikyuu hoodies in public,
It's not an Haikyuu hoodie, it's a work of art.
to the people who use common Japanese phrases in day-to-day lives for no reason.
Can't be in English right now, desu.
They're like rats. You're always within 6 feet of one. There are two types. The people who openly show their lock screen with some anime girl that they would never even talk to if they were real.
I hate you so much.
And the closet weebs, who are the most fucked up people with the most degenerate of kinks. Trust me. But what is the problem with weebs? Is weeb culture the bane of society and single-handedly preventing us from progressing to the next stage of human evolution? Let me ask you this. Have you ever made a new friend, and just as you get close enough to open up to each other, they start striking weird poses and making edgy main character quips? That disgust you feel when you groan in stun reaction. It isn't a hatred for who they are. It's a disappointment in having let yourself become friends with them. And that's true for society. We as a whole have not been inhibited by weebs, but have let ourselves down by letting these kinds of obsessions get out of hand. Anime is awesome. Animation is cinema, and you can fight me on that. So many people, primarily the older generation, think animation as a lesser form of storytelling, and I wholeheartedly disagree. There are so many gripping, beautiful stories that only animation can properly tell. Today, weeb culture is still thriving, but there are other factions threatening the weeb nation in the modern age. The rise of the K-pop stans have slowly started to eclipse the weebs, and is threatening to take over Twitter, no matter how many times they are suspended. And they have evolved to become much stronger and resilient than these pathetic-ass weebs. Unlike otakus, they don't flip a table upon hearing the W word, but whenever any criticism or insult is held their way, they toss out a stupid fan cam of some K-pop group dancing and be on their way. Like, literally, for no reason at all. Oh, someone died. Oh, let me just post this fan cam to promote my favorite gal. Honestly, the current generation of people are just basically free PR agents who are paid for having a morsel of clout.
Rule number 1, no boomers. Rule number 2, no zoomers. Rule number 3, no weebs under penalty of death. I'm looking at you, Phil. Rule number 4, no marble stands. Rule number 5, stand loon.
To be fair, I guess I am criticizing the vocal minority of K-pop stans who are a bunch of morons, but the same could be said about weebs. They are really cringy, really stupid, and have ruined a generation, but I don't know. I think they're more funny than annoying to me. I mean, isn't that the reason you go on Twitter already in the first place? On one hand, you have some inspirational cool thing that's shown, and then scroll down and see the stupidest post known to mankind in the same page. That's the beauty of being human, isn't it? So, what was the point of this video? I'd say there's only one big question that needs to be asked. Have weebs ruined our society, and do they need to be purged? As a weeb myself, I'd say yes.